Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo Story. Following India's precision military strikes during Operation Sindoor, Pakistan attempted to portray itself as having successfully struck critical Indian air bases, notably Adampur in Punjab and Bhuj in Gujarat, also Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir. However, through independent analysis by expert Damien Simon and satellite imagery reviews, uh, all of that has exposed that Pakistani claims are mere fabrications. Now, images presented as evidence were outdated, manipulated, or misinterpreted. For example, the alleged Dami Sukhoi at Adampur was a MiG 29 undergoing routine maintenance months before the conflict, and supposedly burn marks were soot from engine tests. Similarly, there was a claim made about S-400, but you can see on that picture that was Prime Minister Modi who went to Adampur and he made an address there, and you can see that S-400 in the backdrop. Now, to get a sense of all of this, why is Pakistan doing it, and uh, what could be its implications? We're joined by an expert panel today to discuss this. We're joined by Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director, India Foundation. We're also joined by Air Marshal Sunil Nandokar. He's an IAF veteran. Welcome to Mojo Story, sir. General Katoch, if I may start with you, those Pakistani claims have no credibility, striking Indian air bases at Adampur and Bhuj and causing significant damage, given that the satellite imagery have debunked those assertions. Why is Pakistan doing it?
Thank you, Zafar. No, I think, when you look at it from the Pakistani perspective, that is what is expected. Um, they have how they are having a very difficult time to explain to their own public what has happened. Uh, when the Indian Air Force struck those targets, every single target hit to pinpoint precision of zero point 0.5 meters. I mean, that sort of precision at ranges in excess of 100 and 200 kilometers is phenomenal. Very
Hmm.
few countries can actually achieve that.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, when the Pakistanis struck, and they did it on two successive nights,
Yeah.
every single piece of their armaments, whether it was their drones or their missiles, they were intercepted. And I think
Hmm.
that is something which has really shaken them up, both them and the Chinese. Now,
Yeah.
For the Chinese also, it is something which hurts them very deeply
Hmm.
because their own air defense systems were found suspect,
Yeah.
whereas the missiles, etc., which were used by the Pakistanis, could not penetrate the Indian air defense. And if you have noticed that a few days later, the stock market, as far as the Chinese defense stock markets were concerned, their prices fell dramatically. So, for a country, I think they've got to preserve their own morale. It is not so much for the international public. I think it is much more for the Pakistani public for them to feel that okay, their military is also their military has the capability and they've been able to do something. In due course of time, the truth comes out. The truth is never hidden, and their public will come to know. But for the immediate, I think there is a concern within the military. There is a concern with the Chinese masters also. And so the cover up has taken place at that level. And I think the biggest cover up to cover the entire fiasco which Pakistan has been through is to make their chief a field marshal. That itself is a giveaway. Nobody makes a field marshal like that. But if you want to cover up something which has gone wrong very dramatically, well, this is one of the ways to do it, and I think that's what they have opted for. Zafar.
And obviously, it was mainly the Pakistan Air Force which was in action, and not so much the ground troops. But Asim Munir was made the field marshal rather than elevating the air chief. If at all he had done something, if at all Pakistan had done something, it was mainly in the realm of Pakistan Air Force, not on the ground troops. But then that is
Yeah.
Pakistan. You can't say much about that. But Air Marshal Sunil ji, what is your sense? You know, they said that we have damaged the S-400 system. But then Prime Minister Modi went there and he made a speech with S-400 intact in the background. Those images were manipulated. They were fabricated. It's very strange. Is it normal in an information warfare, or is it very unusual because these claims cannot be substantiated. These are independent experts that are really putting out those images and those details, debunking all of those Pakistani claims.
Yeah, Iqbal, thank you very much for having me on this show, and it's an interesting, discussion that we are having. Uh, you know, to keep the morale high of not only of the general public but of their troops, who ultimately, are likely to fight a fierce battle which they thought they will, get into. Whereas we were very, very restrained and we were focused as to what we wanted to do as far as the, Operation Sindoor was concerned, and action by our Air Force or ground forces and Indian Navy. So there was a difference between the plan of action, if I may say so, on both sides. Now, in an event where you have been struck very precisely, like very rightly General Katoch has covered, that to the tune of 3 meters, 5 meters accuracy, we have struck over a distance of 200 to 300 kilometers, and that is a phenomenal performance of the any by any standards of the weapon which have such standoff capability, and we hold that capability. So therefore, whether it is indigenous or we have procured them over a period of time, we will keep that aside for maybe some other day discussion on this. But suffice is to say that today our forces, both all three forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, are capable of having a standoff battle fought with these kind of ranges with precision of 3 to 5 meters and getting down to 1 meter once we have the entire capability available to our forces, in-house capability, I would call it, in terms of our satellites and our navigation system supporting our weapon systems. So therefore, once you strike precisely like this targets on first night, those 7 or 9 targets that we took on, and thereafter Pakistan tried to retaliate with Chinese made, Turkish made drones, and also other Chinese weapons, and which we shot them down with a gun like L-70 gun, and therefore the integration of our air defense system got proven on the second night itself, and therefore Pakistan, to keep the morale up of their troops and their general public, had to play up into this information warfare domain. And once you get into this domain, there is no end to it, because satellite imagery is available on the open source. You can manipulate that imagery the way you want to and project it. Notwithstanding that, what they are indicating on the images that you are showing, every airbase for maintenance activity has got a ground run point, and that ground run point is active for maintaining the engines of the aircraft day in and day out. When you run the engine at its full performance on the ground, there is a deflector plate behind the that point where the aircraft is picketed, so that you can test the engine fully fitted onto the aircraft. And this is a routine activity on any airbase. I can tomorrow take out a picture of Pakistani Air Base and show you their ground run point where this aircraft suit is available, engine suit is available, exhaust suit is available. And over a period of time, if you see the infrared imagery of any from any piece of equipment that you launch to get the imagery, you will find that the silhouette of the aircraft is available on the tarmac, because day in and day out that aircraft is made to stand there and you give the ground run. So therefore, this heat signature, if you take it, this particular image will be available even today. If you take the satellite image, you will get some basis this
Yes.
kind of imagery.
That is
Secondly,
that is obvious. That is obvious that there would be some activity happening there. Something would be happening there. It is very
absolutely.
obvious. Yeah.
Absolutely. And secondly, when you correlate, just see this image, when you correlate the MiG-29 being available with a cockpit shelter, on top to give protection from heat and sun rays for the equipment when you keep the canopy open, there is no hanger next to it. And in the next imagery where you're showing the damage, there is a huge hanger next to it. So,
Yeah.
these kind of the person who can analyze these images very like you've done, that Daniel has done it,
Yeah.
you can easily make out that it's a doctored image. And if you want
Uh,
to believe that, I'm glad that.
Air Marshal Sunilji, what I would want to do, I would want my producer to have these pictures full frame, and you can one by one tell us, as you are saying, that what is the problem in this propaganda, how this propaganda is busted. If you can have these images on full screen, this is the Adampur Air Base, where they claim that Sukhoi 30 MKI strike was struck, but that is not the case. You can see from that satellite image.
Absolutely. See, if Sukhoi 30 was part, first of all, is this Sukhoi tarmac? I would say no. And if you can just blow up this image, you can see that
Yeah.
there is a aircraft shelter which is there for the maintenance of single aircraft. If I was to park the aircraft, first of all, when I know that there is a conflict going on, I will not have my aircraft parked outside like this in a
Yeah.
on an open tarmac. So therefore,
Right.
this is an old image where the
Yeah.
some satellite imagery has picked up because there is no data stamp there. And the
The
other
next
image,
slide. Yeah.
the next image has got a very huge structure next to the that point. Now, if
Yeah.
you notice, this is exactly a doctored image where I was talking to you about the ground run point. This is how the
Yeah.
ground run point looks like, because when you run the engine at full bore, that is the time you will have a lot of smoke, and particularly these Russian engines give out a lot of smoke. So therefore, you will find that most of the bases where Russian aircraft are maintained, you will have a ground run point which will be almost black like this and giving a silhouette of the aircraft around it. So
Right.
I mean, you don't require a huge expertise to get into
Yeah.
this. So I think
Right.
any decent person who can analyze satellite photograph can tell you that this is not. And if Pakistani public, Pakistani
Yeah.
army, navy, air force people are getting floored by this argument that this is the image where a Sukhoi 30 was blown off and things like that, I think it's let's give it to them.
Right. General Katoch, I want to come to you. Pakistan has been going around different countries of the world and they are presenting a dossier. Now, in that dossier, according to Pakistan, Karachi was hit, Hyderabad. If we can have that slide up. Uh, yes, this is the dossier of Pakistan. Now, according to this dossier, I don't know whether we can zoom that picture. This is Rawalpindi, Lahore, Jhang, Shorkot, Bhavnagar, Rahim Yar Khan, Peshawar, Karachi, Hyderabad. India has never claimed that it struck Karachi, Hyderabad, Peshawar. It is Pakistan which is saying that in its dossier. One cannot make out what is if India has struck all these sites, which India just said that 9 of the places were targeted. Has India targeted more sites, or is this Pakistan only creating a dossier to show to the world? What is the logic behind it?
No, very frankly, there may have been some of the areas which India has not claimed, which we have targeted. In my view, that could have happened if we could not actually get the visual evidence of having caused destruction. But Karachi, I'm absolutely certain we didn't target Karachi. Karachi, so for them to claim Karachi, there may be some other reason in the logic of the Pakistanis to say Karachi was hit, because
No. The reason can be that India has been saying that it struck only the terror camps. Now, when they go about telling the world that Karachi was struck, Hyderabad was struck, Peshawar was struck, so maybe they're trying to say that this is not military sites that were struck, but these were other places that were struck also.
No.
That could be one of the reasons for them to present it.
No. India very clearly claimed the terrorist on the very first night that we had taken those terrorist camps, right? Their headquarters, etc., etc. That was what was claimed on the very first night, and that was claimed immediately. Now, to that, Pakistan responded. Our DGM had already spoken to their DGM and told them that We have struck your terrorist camps. We have not struck your military or civilian targets. That was very clearly explained. Now, after that, the Pakistanis chose to retaliate, and we responded accordingly. We had told them that we are going to respond. So the subsequent nights when the operations took place, we hit their military targets, and they were taken out. The airfields were hit, and their maintenance areas, etc., were hit, and they were hit with great accuracy. So, but even when we hit them on the second and the third night, Karachi was not hit. So why they're claiming Karachi, I'm not aware of. The other targets, it is possible that we hit some more targets which we didn't claim because perhaps we didn't have the visual proof to go with it. This time, everything which we claimed, it was backed up with proof. So if we didn't have the proof, I thought perhaps our people could have said, why claim it? It doesn't really matter. But if the Pakistanis have said we have hit them, well and good. But Karachi, to the best of my knowledge, was not hit by the Indian forces. So if something has happened there, it could be something internal within Karachi itself. That means something which could have gone wrong at their end, which we are not privy to. But that's the best I can come up with. Otherwise, there is no reason for anybody to claim, especially for the Pakistanis, that certain targets have been hit which have not been hit. I can't come up with any other plausible explanation. Zafar.
Right. Air Marshal Sunil ji, there were videos on our screen just a short while ago of Nur Khan Air Base. Now, these are user-generated videos. If the producer can again play that video. Now, look at the contrast. There is a Nur Khan Air Base. There is clearly fire visible in this. There's smoke billowing out. These are user-generated visuals. These are not even satellite pictures. Now, this is one side of the story. The other side of the story are photos which are sort of manipulated, which are distorted, which are fiddled with, and they are presented as evidence. How does the two match? On one side you have visual proof, on the other hand there are photos which have been sort of made up.
Whom are we trying to compete with? I'm not too sure. Whom are we trying to compete with?
No, I'm
No,
saying, I'm saying, look at the contrast. Look at the contrast. There is nothing to, yeah.
Yeah, Zafar, my point is that we have been collating proofs over a period of time and producing it as a proof every single time that Pakistan has played mischief in our country.
Yeah.
During Pathankot attack, we allowed their people to come and participate in the entire process that took place post attack.
Yeah.
And thereafter, they went back and said that we were not involved. And these are the people we want to give proof to. To my mind, no. What these images, why we are putting up these images on two count. One is that we get a proof of what success of our planned weapon attacks have been. So this is a proof, or this is the proof as far as we are concerned from their own people. We cannot go and take these images and post it on social media on their behalf. So one is that we have got confirmation whether our weapons have done their job or not. Secondly, none of this satellite images or any other images that you are talking about have got any timestamp or any proof that these are the current images and undistorted, unmanipulated images. Whereas whatever has been put up by us are the images from not from only from our satellites. They are images from international satellites which are available. If you pay money, you can get those images. So I'm not here trying to justify whether my image is correct or not, or whether his image is wrong or not. I'm just either justifying or or denying the claims that Pakistan is actually doing as a part of the propaganda. So if we want to really go by whatever images are available to us, let's see. Now this is a empty section, that is the motor transport section's junkyard. Now if you show an image of a junkyard where the oil stains are there, the vehicles are there parked in a line for maintenance purposes, or they are the ones which are there for going into salvage. So if I have a salvage dump being shown as a successful attack uh, by Pakistan, then I think it's a good story to tell the kids in the school, but not to a professional military or professional civilians or analysts who are seriously doing analysis of these 4 days. Okay, and coming out with what reality is and telling their people on both sides, I would say, that what has actually happened and how successful we were. And that is why, if you see, the whole idea of putting up this S-400 missile silhouette on the background is to show that it still exists in Adampur, and PM can't go around, lifting missile entire battery and putting it there just to go and meet soldiers in Adampur. So I think what are we even talking in terms of realism vis-a-vis, a doctored, I would say, a kind of a movie buff.
Right. But General Katoch, you would agree that misinformation has an impact. Whether we like it or not, misinformation helps to paddle a narrative. And that is what Pakistan has done right from the first day.
When we are looking at information warfare and setting the narratives, Pakistan has been doing a good job, not just now, they've done it for many decades now. This is one place where I think their propaganda machine has been very, very effective. And, right now they are teaching their school children in Pakistan that they won the 1971 war. The school children are actually being taught that. Despite the fact that 93,000 people surrendered in Dhaka. But that is the way you can distort history. On narrative building, they have done a very good job. This much I must grant to them. On the ground, they have faltered very badly. And one of the, people will say, okay, you belong to India, you are doing your own propaganda. But let's face it, when we're looking at the stock markets across the world, why have the Chinese stocks fallen? That is something which people need to ask. And why have the Indian stocks, when we're looking at our defense systems in the world markets, why have their stocks risen? Why is it that people want to buy the BrahMos missile now? Why do they want to get into our Astra air defense systems? The other questions that people must ask. And the Chinese shares have dropped at 10 to 20%. So, there is a reality on the ground which Pakistan sees, but they can't afford to tell the public. Otherwise, once the military gets discredited, they're in a very, very deep trouble. So they won't allow the military to get discredited, at least amongst their own public. And by the time you see the world comes to know, the life has moved on. So who the hell is interested after that? So they are looking for the moment. They have achieved their aims. As far as India is concerned, if Pakistan thinks this is a great victory for them, may they be blessed with such victories all the time. Because this is one time when I'm absolutely convinced they've been thrashed black and blue. For a very simple reason, we hit their targets with pinpoint precision, and our air defense systems intercepted their targets, and they couldn't do anything about it. So, I mean, it's a very simple game this time. The ground forces didn't take part. None of our aircraft crossed into other person's territory. So you see, this was a war fought at a standoff distance. Our aircraft operated 100 plus kilometers from our border, and theirs operated similarly from their side. So it is a standoff game, both sides. And in this particular game, if Pakistan wants to carry out some propaganda, they know the truth. They buried their bodies on the first night of all those terrorists. Their generals were standing there, burying their bodies. Now, that was the proof. And after that, what happened in Nur Khan, what happened in the other air bases, they know. They know the beating they have got there. So if they wish to peddle a lie to fool their own public, who are we to stop them? Let them carry on. As the Air Marshal very rightly said, good luck to them.
Right. No, you come to the main point, as you put it, General Saab. India struck the terror camps. They could not prevent those strikes. Oh, okay, you say that they happened. There was an element of surprise. Though there was no surprise, it was very sure that India is going to carry out a military action. They could not stop that. But then after 2 days, India struck the Nur Khan Air Base and other air bases. They could not stop that. Now they fired missiles, right? They also fired missiles, which were all blocked by Indian air defense system. So what is there to? This is very clear. This is there is nothing further to discuss on this. It's very clear. Had their air defenses stopped Indian missiles and blocked them, and prevented and disrupted those strikes, you could say that they did something. But they could not do that. And if their missiles would have hit their targets, again, Indian air defense would have said that it could not stop their missiles. It did stop, it did divert them. So that's why no damage was caused. So what is there? I can't understand what is the logic of them, saying that the victory belongs to them. From a simple understanding, it is what it is, right, Air Marshal Sunil ji?
Yeah, see, Zafar, my point is that we have a clear-cut case of one of the missiles which was heading towards whichever place was intercepted at Sirsa, and it fell short of the just behind the buildings close to Sirsa Air Base. Now that missile apparently, some of the reports claim that it was heading for Delhi. It's not all that easy to get through to Delhi as far as we are concerned. So that itself proves a point, and we don't have to, we have not gone overboard in saying that we intercepted a missile close to Sirsa. Now people can look at the map and see what is the distance, how it relates to where the missile was heading and stuff like that. And we have done our analysis, and we are aware of where the missile was heading. Now, coming to your point regarding these damages that you showed to the air bases and the Pakistan's claim that they have damaged our air bases, we have launched our all the strikes that we launched on 10th night. If our air bases were damaged, there was no way we could have launched a wave of the size that we launched to strike right from across Kutch right up to J&K and across into POK. If we had the capability to launch on 10th night such strikes, as far as our performance is concerned, it is there for the world to see whether the Air Force, which was given the task of launching an offensive once the Pakistan struck our targets inside our territory, despite warning them that we are not interested in getting into this phase at all. You have done something wrong by inserting terrorists and killing our innocent civilians on basis of their religion. We will retaliate, and we will retaliate this time with entire your machinery which produces these to an extent possible. And we did that. We announced it. We told the whole world. We told the DGMO in Pakistan. Our DGMO spoke to their DGMO in Pakistan. And despite that, if they on the day 3, if we are able to do this and inflict this kind of damage, Zafar, to my mind, we don't have to prove to anybody what our Air Force is capable of. I don't think we need to, give in too much to these images that they are flashing for their, it's more of entertainment within rather than, giving proof to us of our performance. So we are not interested in these kind of images to assess our performance. We have enough and more to assess our own performance. And like the CDS said very, very clearly in an open domain that, okay, we have made some errors, we have analyzed them, and we have, put our forces back in place wherever they belong to. And the result of it is for everyone to see. Whom do we have to prove? We don't have to prove to anybody. We have to prove to ourselves, and which we have done. And we have been honest about what our capability is, what our performance is, what our air power can do, how we intend using our forces, entirely in its entirety. What are our shortfalls? We also have to assess our shortfalls. We have to be prepared for the next. And I'm sure that people today in all the 3 headquarters under the able CDS are doing that work. And that is why there is no noise or there is no shaft that has been thrown at by any of the services as far as India is concerned. Whereas a lot of things are coming from other side, as to including raising the general to field marshal's rank and whatnot. And you rightly said the entire work was done by their air force and their air defense system, and who gets promoted is their army chief. So so be it. I mean, are we there to teach Pakistan these things? We are not there to teach Pakistan these things, I'm very sure. And we need to analyze very, very thoroughly as to what are those little errors were, how we can correct them, and what we need to do. More focus today in India is how we can be more self-reliant, self-sufficient. What are the technological gaps that we need to plug in? Where do we see ourselves in next 5, 10, 15 years, and how we tackle this problem called terrorism in our country borders? And that is exactly what we should be spending our energy, rather than analyzing these false doctored satellite images, or these are not even that third rate movie that comes out of some of the countries just to entertain their local people. It is worse than that, and therefore I don't think we should spend too much of energy on this. We have much better jobs to do, Zafar. And I think by tracking this, Mojo is doing a wonderful job trying to see how Pakistan, even information warfare. Like I agree with General Katoch. They have been very good in projecting themselves. We can have a huge discussion how they have got into Security Council. This thing there in UN there. They are gunning for bigger roles in UN. That is where our energies should be focused, rather than these mundane things. But yes, these are small things which are going to be telling people how false propaganda is being done by Pakistan. And I give full credit to you and Barka and your team doing a wonderful job.
Fear, it is something that also cannot be just ignored. It is a fact of the life. The information warfare, whatever you call it, the way that they did all of this right from the first day, making false claims, putting out those doctored image. Do you think that there is a need also to have some sort of a counter to this? Because it helps to put out a narrative across the world. It may be based on lies, but still it cannot be just ignored.
Information warfare is concerned, it is absolutely vital that it is countered immediately. Now, I think that we need to get our act together as far as information warfare is concerned. I'll be very honest with you. I think we have been one step behind in many of these things. So as soon as something false comes up, we have to come up with the truth. Now, one thing which we did very correctly was the targets which we hit. We came out immediately with that. This is what we have hit. What we have not been able to do is to counter immediately the Pakistani propaganda. And that I think is something which we need to do in a faster time frame. It is not that we didn't do it. I think it is simply a question of the timings. We need to be a bit faster, and then of course spread our own message so that the enemy also remains confused. By and large, I think the world knows what has happened. It is only the Pakistani public which at this point of time is being fooled, who are not aware of what the situation is, and they will believe whatever has been told to them. But I think when we come to 6 months down the line or 1 year down the line, that truth will come out. In the United States, it is the Pakistanis people there who have now started putting up images against their army chief. So all those posters and all have started coming up in the New York streets. So they have realized that the Pakistani generals have taken them for a ride. But the Pakistani public they will come to know in due course of time. But I think that is the name of the game. In warfare, there are no perfect solutions. There is no such thing as zero error. When I'm going into battle as an infantry officer or the air marshal as an air force officer, despite the best plan, things will go wrong because you're dealing with life situation. Things change in seconds. So to say that there'll be no mistakes, no, I won't even use the word mistakes. That is a part of warfare. You are doing something, the enemy is doing something, real live ammunition is being fired. things go wrong. That is war. But I think in this particular case, we have done it remarkably well. I have never seen such precision shooting anywhere in the world. It is something which I think we give full credit to the Indian Air Force. One, for the precision shoots they carried out, and for the entire air defense system, which again is coordinated by the Air Force, but which also has the air defense element of the Army in it. It was brilliantly coordinated from the lowest level to the highest level. And I think that is really what gave us success. If things may have gone wrong there, obviously they will go wrong there. They will go wrong in anything which we do. But the errors are so insignificant when we are looking at the larger picture. And the beauty of it is you correct them immediately. So I think we have done very well. And the world will come to know. In fact, the world has already come to know. They have acknowledged the fact that India now has arrived. And there is great consternation in the Western powers that if India can do this, we won't be needing them anymore. So there will be pressure put on India by various sources who would like to keep India down, and those geopolitical games will be played. One of the ways they play those geopolitical games is by putting up Pakistan again. So that $40 billion loan from the World Bank and the $2 to $3 billion from the IMF loans, that is part of that game, the larger game, which they try to do. But I think we have outgrown all that. It doesn't really make a difference now. We are on a different trajectory. Pakistan is on a different trajectory. And Western Europe, I think it doesn't really matter what they do to us or what they attempt to do. They will be forced to do what India wants them to do. That is the nature. That is the way. That is the real growth story of India. And I think the sooner they accept it, the better it is for everybody. Zafar.
Right. Thanks so much, General Katoch, Air Marshal Sunil ji, for joining us today and for sharing your thoughts. That's all the time that we have on our show today. Thanks to our viewers for watching the Mojo Story.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.